Hey, you guys. Today we have Natty Beatts on the Craving Consciousness podcast, and we're going to be talking about Arcturians, Lemurians, channeling, your spiritual awakening, and kind of what all of that entails. So I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the podcast.
Woo! I'm excited. Hi guys. So lovely to meet you as well. Finally, I've been following you on social media, peeping your stuff for a while.
Same here. One of the things was so funny. One time I watched your stories and I was like, oh my God, I could just envision this woman boxing. And like the very next slide, you had like boxing gloves on. And I was like, no way, this is so weird. So yeah, I've been following you for a while too. Yeah.
We've been stalking up on each other.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, when we're getting ready to come on here, I'm like, oh, you're like, I'm excited to finally meet you. And I'm like, I just really feel like we already know everything about each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But I'm having that a lot at the moment with connecting with new people. Mostly over the last couple of years, I only really connected with clients, but now I'm connected with people that are like already seasoned psychics or seasoned in what they do, and being like, I know you. Like, we met before, we got some shit in Atlantis or, Egypt or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
all good, I hope.
Right. Well, it feels good, right? It feels good. Or else you'd be like, there's something, just something off.
Yeah. We'd know. I'd have to do a clearance before I came on.
Awesome. So something we were talking about is how scared shitless you were to like kind of come out of the spiritual closet or whatever. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had like stages of coming out of the spiritual closet. When I first went through my awakening in the beginning of 2020, so it was like super recent for my abilities, how they progressed. But I mean, they were pushing me for a while. I was ignoring it. It took me 8 months. So after 8 months, I was like channeling spirits, communicating with ETs, doing psychic surgery, past life regression, all this stuff. And on social media, I was align your chakras. And this is what fruit you eat for this. And do you know what I mean? Like playing it down so much. I was sugarcoating everything. And then I finally did a really emotional coming out video in November where I was like, I'm just going to get it all on the table. I'm going to talk about my trauma. I basically went through a breakup, and then what I thought was a miscarriage, and then a wisdom tooth extraction that went wrong, and then a wisdom tooth infection, all in the space of 5 days. And it just broke me. And then I got put back together with like a body talk therapist, an NLP therapist, a shamanic healer, and then a psychic over 4 days. It was literally like I got broken, I got fixed. And throughout those 4 days, bearing in mind, I was not a spiritual person. I thought most of this stuff was bollocks, if I'm honest. I had been having body talk healings that opened up my eyes to stuff. And I was always interested in past lives. But this talking to spirits, I thought it was something that shouldn't be messed with. Yeah, there's probably shit out there, but don't do that. That's dangerous and it's scary. And all the other like tarot cards, just even the word spirituality, I was like, that is not my shit. So that was probably why it was so hard for me to come out. I did this video, cried a lot through it. You can see the videos out on my Instagram. I'm clutching a hematite bracelet. And you can see as soon as I come on, I mean, I look pale, I'm shaking. And then it was a spirit, and that, it's ridiculous. But the response I got, my inbox flooded with people. Oh my God, I had this experience. I'm not going to put it on the video because I don't want other people to see, but I had this experience, but I don't want anyone to know. And it made me realize that actually, if you look around your social circle, and say there's 10 people there, I guarantee 8 of them have had an experience with a ghost, and they just ain't sharing it because they don't want people to think they're crazy.
Amen to that. So on my YouTube channel, that's where I get all these people, and they'll just be like, oh my God, this happened to me. Or, oh my God, I'm so glad you shared this. Cause they're like, finally somebody is just admitting that this shit's going on, and they're like flocking. And it's almost like a beacon from spirit too. Spirit's like, knock, 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 knock. You got to share your shit because you're not alone.
Yeah. And sharing it as well. You are very much my vibe of down to earth. None of this, hello, goddesses. I don't do none of that shit. Like, I'm sorry. I do not mean to offend. And I say this with love. Like, yes. Honestly, do your thing, ladies, do your thing. But the inauthenticity of that shit in the spiritual industry is rife. People using all these words like, I don't know what the Matrix is. I don't think time's just a concept. I have a watch. I have many watches. Like if I sit and pick into it, yes, I can understand the basis of this. Am I going to talk about it on social media and alienate 90% of my normal followers so that they then think that spirituality doesn't resonate with them, so they feel even more in the fucking dark and even more alone? No, I'm not. And everyone else needs to stop doing it too. That's why I like you, because you are, again,
I
down
think
to earth.
do you think they're doing that maybe as a little bit of an ego, like I'm only the one that has the power?
Spiritual, it's like spiritual elitism. And
what a
spiritual
word.
shaming. Mate, see, these are some of the shit I've been coming up recently. I'm like, it is. And like another thing with the spiritual shaming stuff, I recently had some information which I hesitated to put out. All of the information that comes through to me, a lot of it, it's almost like I'm going against what the rest of the spiritual industry is saying. And I'm like, but it came from source. I'm like, I have to share it. There's some stuff that came out about manifesting, and my Arcturian guides were saying, like, you humans, you've overcomplicated this shit so much. They don't swear. This is me swearing, but I have to stipulate that. But they're like, you've put so many rules and regulations in this you have to do things daily. You have to feel joy in your heart if you want to attract. I'm like, mate, if I'm crying on the kitchen floor, my guides are still fucking listening. They ain't going anywhere.
I'm right there with you, because, and I think I've talked about this with some other people. It's like, no, you don't have to have your crystal and your journal and the this and the that and like not eat meat and all this stuff. I mean, yeah, raising your vibration is great, but put in all those, or like you're saying, like the gratitude journal. Cause I'm like, yeah, fucking, I don't want to sit down every freaking day. Like that just, like I resist it. It's like it's a resistance to me. I'd rather just do it my way. And I think our guides are like, well, yeah, dude, you're supposed to do it the way you're in alignment with it, because otherwise you're putting it, don't you think it's masculine, right? Where you have to go check on all these boxes in order to get some sort of result.
It's trying to contain something that the very essence of spirituality, it's not a fucking hobby. It's not something you just wake up and do one day. It's just, it just is. It's, you just are. You don't need all of these. I feel really, really strongly that this year, I mean, this whole period of time, but this year is all about rules. Like, what the fuck are rules? If you want to eat breakfast at 10 o'clock at night, eat it at 10 o'clock at night. If you don't want to sleep for 3 days, don't sleep for 3 days. If you don't want to eat at all, don't eat at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't go to work 9 to 5. Work at 3 a.m. and do that if you want. Eat your cake before your dinner. Like, all of these things. I know they're ridiculous examples, but it is getting rid of our human rules and understanding that you really just choose whatever the fuck you want. Because there is no rules anymore.
So I'd like to share that look at, I'm gonna look so silly.
You're tuning in.
I'd like to share that that's really come up so much for me since my husband died. I'm like, why the fuck did I think I had to get up and be on Facebook Live every day at 11? Like, why did I have to have a post in the first hour that I was awake? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And and I'm still alive. I stopped doing everything. I just was like, I gotta stop following these rules. Like, we've been programmed, because I came from corporate America, So I'm like, you get up at this time and you have these tasks by done by this, you know what I mean? And my guides are like, fucking stop. Like, what do we got to do to make you wake up? And hopefully that wasn't the reason my husband left, but I mean, it came out of that, fuck these rules.
I had I didn't have anything huge and traumatic to happen to me like that, but I recently in November had a complete mental breakdown. I've always been good. Like, I've been a coach for 8 years in like health and fitness and then mental health and all of that. I'm really good at putting myself back together and healer and all of that. But I couldn't fucking do anything. It was like a volcano was going up inside of me, or an earthquake, sorry. And I could not do anything. I called my doctor and hung up 3 times. I'm not, I personally would never go on medication. I understand that some people do need it. But like, I literally was like, I'm going to have to take medication. I can't make this stop. And it had the effect of leveling. I had to stop everything. I was like a newborn baby. Like, I couldn't watch really anything on the TV. I couldn't listen to dance music. I had to listen to soothing anxiety music. I could not look at my phone or go on social media at all. If my boyfriend came round and started talking about something from his day, no, that came from outside. No, talk about stuff in the house only, because it would start this wave of anxiety again. And I had to basically not exist. Like, it was like I had to not exist, and the world didn't fall down, and I wrote a book in a week. And I started painting, and I started singing again, and it was like all this, it was like life opened up when I stopped life. And
Yes.
it was like, again, it was my guides. They said they had to get me. I won't go through everything that took me to it, but it was a fucking lot.
Yeah.
Even my boyfriend, who doesn't really understand a lot of this stuff, said, he was like, you're starting to freak me out now. Like, should you maybe call that Wolfgang guy and see if you have something attached to you? Because it was like the worst luck ever, again and again and again. And it just, that my guide said, we needed to push you to breaking point so that you would literally just stop.
Gee, thanks, guys. But that's literally what happened to me in a different scenario. Like, they were like, we have to break everything. You know what I mean? And I talked about this on a podcast that's coming out. It's like, I had to go to this underworld to even figure out who the frick am I really? Even though I've been this spiritual woman and coach and leader and all that for years.
Massive rebirth.
Everything is a rebirth. Massive.
So much recently. A lot of my clients, and also one of my really good friends who's also been a psychic for 15 years. I did a session with her recently, and she literally, I thought it was we both thought it was like a soul retrieval. So those of you who are listening aren't familiar with soul retrievals, I was basically taking her to a part of herself she'd lost. We were healing that part of herself to bring back. Now, we healed this part of herself, and she said it's not supposed to come back. And we sat with it for a while, and then she's supposed to burn it. So it died in front of her. And this was a couple of weeks after I did a journey and watched the Lemurians carry my dead body out of this tunnel of light, place it at my feet in a coffin, and say, you have to accept to move on. Like, it was literally my dead body in front of me. Oh
my God, I have the goosebumps so bad. Because the same hawk, like, referring back to, I don't even know what episode number it is, right? But like 5 episodes ago or whatever, I was talking about going to the underworld and having to die, having to lose everything, and then reintegrate. Like, yeah.
It's my goosebumps all on the back of my neck.
I got goosebumps too. So Spirit's like, yeah, we wanted you guys to reiterate this. Because so many people are probably experiencing this.
Many people, I feel like I've had so many messages recently saying, I just wanted to let you know, thank you so much for posting whatever, because I'm where you were in December. And when it's building up, I'm just going to say this now, you're not going to know what's fucking coming. You're going to feel this. I don't know if it's the same for you, just speaking for myself. I had this feeling of intense anticipation, like when you're watching a horror movie and you know something's about to jump out, but you can't attach it to anything, and you can't tell whether it's positive, negative. You are just in the motherfucking void. And you just have to surrender. I hate being told to surrender, by the way, so much. And I hate surrendering because I'm a fucking control freak. I think a lot of psychics are, because they know what's coming and they want to know what's coming. But it was that having to completely surrender and just allowing yourself to be sucked into the darkness.
Mm-hmm. That's me. And even like my human brain is like, human brain, figure this out. What are you going to do after you finally come back? And then like Spirit's like, you're not coming back. You're going forward. You're not going that way. Like, stop trying to figure it out. That they're like, stop fucking trying to figure this shit out and just live your life every day. And something we're going to be, then you'll create space for us to pop it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're going through the emotions all the time, they're over here like, shut up. Trying to get a message into you, you know?
It's literally, so today, literally this morning, I did a shamanic journey because I had this anxiety come out of nowhere. Like since Thursday, I finally got to a place after weeks where I was like, oh, everything in my life seems certain. The last 3 days, done fucked that up. All for the good. But I was back this morning to being completely uncertain. Did a shamanic journey and went and met a future aspect of myself. And she started drawing, and I had this intuition that she's drawing me a map. I was like, fucking fantastic. Give it to me now. She turned around the paper and it said, you are the map.
Fucking A.
I was like, really? You're going to come at me with this cryptic shit after I journeyed all the way down here? I was so like,
funny.
Thank
this
you.
Is hilarious. This is them to me. They're like, trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. Stop trying to look, trust yourself. It's like, oh, yeah.
That's the other thing I got as well. Stop asking, like even them, like stop relying on your, as I call them, spiritual secretaries. Got that from my friend Lara, to put it in perspective about them serving us rather than us serving them. My spiritual secretaries constantly asking them everything. It was like I was asking them whether I should go to the toilet or not. Like, which I think when your psychic abilities, and again, only speaking for myself, and I want everyone listening to this to understand that my journey was not a normal journey. Most of the psychics and healers I know have done this shit for 20 years, and my shit opened up over 6 months. It had been a long time coming. I was 31, and they'd been trying to get to me since I was a child, and I blocked out most of my life of drugs and alcohol, pretty much. So once it bust open, but I feel like once you have these psychic abilities, and especially once you integrate them to where you don't have to sit and tap in for answers, you just get yes, no. So I'm walking around a shop and I'm like, should I buy this? No. Should I buy this? No. Should I buy this? Yes. Like I will abuse my powers, but it's easy to then become almost dependent, and it's still, yeah, it's source, but it's still an outside influence from yourself, which I think again was part of my breakdown, was like, shut the fuck up, because when I go through low periods, my psychic stuff is just like, they're like, no, you're on rest, you ain't got none of this up here. But just learning to trust myself again and make my own choices, which everything is obviously freedom of choice, but I'd got so dependent on the cards and listening.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the reasons I stopped doing readings is because the people are dependent. A lot of people I started seeing, they're asking the same questions, and they're asking for you to solve their problem, and spirit's not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it was more turning it around to coaching, and that's why I stopped doing. I mean, it's still the same thing, right? But I stopped doing like 30-minute readings. You know what I mean? And it's more like put it at a higher rate, and it's like work with me longer. Spirit's going to flow through, but it's not for these people that's like, should I take this job? Or
it's really bad.
Is he going to come back? You know what I mean?
You know,
so
on the flip side though, on the flip side of this, even though I'm a massive hypocrite, I have psychic powers with my friend Sam every couple of weeks, and we know that certain questions can't be answered, and we know that everything is dependent on human choice, and if you go out the door and take a left turn rather than a right turn, the whole reading is void. But still, I'm like, Sam, I know you can't tell me this, and it'll probably change, but when am I moving house? Because it's natural, it's human instinct. We're so desperate for someone to tell us what to do. It's ridiculous, but we just need to, it's all about reclaiming our power this year, reclaiming our sovereignty, getting out there and being like, do you know what, I'm just going to choose, and then let everything fall in line. It's great getting guidance, but yeah, I've definitely,
I think a lot of people, they're scared. And I think, like my journey, and I think a lot of these people are scared because of trauma.
Yeah.
Because of past trauma. They're like, oh my God, if I leave this job, trauma, pain, so they're looking for somebody to be like, girl, spirit's like, we got you. You don't like that job? It's time to move. Like, watch the signs. You know what I mean?
Yep. And the unknown, the fear of the unknown. The book that I'm writing is a kind of a mixture of coaching, and there's some NLP chucked in there. NLP, for anyone listening, is similar to hypnotherapy. It's all reprogramming your subconscious, but I always use the example of a success mountain, where you can see up to the top of the mountain, so that is known and comfortable. Everything beyond the mountain, which is where you're trying to get to, it's unknown and it's scary as hell. So what that does is activate your caveman flight response, because it might be a saber-toothed tiger. We know that it's just a new house, but it might be a saber-toothed tiger. So your brain goes, fuck no. And you are hit with all the resistance and fear. And I need to do my ironing, and maybe I'll just try on this dress. But actually what you're supposed to do is get on a podcast and talk about something important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So can I ask you some questions about like the Arcturians and stuff?
Go for it.
So I know some of my listeners are like, who the hell are Arcturians? Or Lemurians? Like, tell us in like layman's terms, who are these people?
Okay, so I'm gonna say right now that I am, regards to book knowledge on spirituality, ain't got none of that. It's been 2 years. everything that comes through to me has come through from source, come through my guides. So I don't have like this is this and this is this. So I'm just going to talk from my experience.
Dude, I totally agree. I love and agree that because, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm like, oh my God, because I would have never developed as a psychic medium if I read a book before. I wouldn't have. There was no way. So I love that you're learning it through spirit. So yeah, share.
Just by experience. So basically they are they may be called star seeds, they may be called light beings. They are basically extraterrestrials that exist on different dimensions. So they are and I don't want to scare anyone when I say this, they are all around us. Don't worry, you're well protected. And these are light beings anyway, and you just can't perceive them unless you tap into those other frequencies. So psychic mediums, healers, they can tap into other frequencies and learn to communicate with these beings. They are generally like spirits. I think am I right in saying, please correct me if I'm wrong, they are like generally fourth dimension astral plane, fourth and fifth, like earthly spirits of people that have passed on.
Arcturians,
like no I mean, so I'm comparing it to like regular spirits, because I know that a lot of people will be more familiar with mediumship and channeling and talking to spirits. I think that they are on like a lower vibrational frequency because they're closer to earth, they're closer to us.
They feel different, right? Like I never thought, like when you said if they're on the fourth dimension, I never in my brain put them in a place, you know what I mean? So like they just come, but they feel different. That like the humans feel different than an angel or a guide.
So different. So the first things that came through to me were spirits. Now I don't choose to be a medium. It's just not my bag. I'm grateful for the ability or whatever. It's really just not my bag. So my guides nope. Keep them away. I've got spirit guides and stuff, but they came through first, and it took me a while to integrate that feeling. And the first time I had an ET come through, I shit myself. It was terrifying. Like, I'll be honest. I mean, I just had to come to terms with the fact that ghosts are real and that this is real and this is real. And then I had a session with Wolfgang, who's a friend and mentor, and we went into some crazy shit. And I had these white alien dudes come through. And I was like, I keep seeing these guided meditation, and it wasn't a bad feeling. But when something first comes through that you've never had contact with before, when it's a new energy, it does not make you feel okay. Your body feels like, oh, what's happening? And it's just very, very strange because you haven't integrated their energy yet. So when these ETs come through to you, it might feel absolutely terrifying. It felt terrifying to me at first. I first had the funnies come through, which are a race of ET. Then I had the Pleiadians. Then I had I think the Arcturians. I had the blue avians. Then so these are all, for everyone watching, these are ET beings. I've had a lot come through that are not in the mainstream knowledge. I've actually got a book that I've started putting them in because these guys keep coming from all different dimensions and different planets. And then I had the Arcturians, which was interesting because my soul is primarily Arcturian. Like that's the race that I'm most kind of resonant with. By the way, anyone listening, you will all have star beings in your soul in different varying degrees, and you will all be mongrels. So your soul is made up from many, many, many different places. So if you're listening thinking, oh, this isn't me, or if you're listening thinking, oh my God, I wonder if this is me. Yes.
Something that I do in my abilities, I could see the imprint. People, I call it DNA imprint, which might not be the right term, but that's what I call it. Because I could see if somebody was a mermaid, or if they need to be connected with tree, like if they were an ogre, or if they're part fairy, and they'll have different pieces on different areas of their body, right? Like,
wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So like when you're saying, you're a lot of things, right?
Yeah. So all mixed up.
Here's a great question. When we're talking about psychic development, right? We're seeing, hearing, feeling, knowing. How did you know who these people were? Did they say it? Did you feel it? Like, how did you come to go, hey, that's a Arcturian and this is a funny, or whatever you were calling them?
So with regards to the funnies, that was from Wolfgang suggested that they might be them. The other ones. So with regards to traditional psychic abilities like clairvoyance, seeing, clairaudience, hearing, clairsentience, knowing, ETs come through as clairsentience, which is probably the hardest one to recognize because it's like the knowing gets dropped into the middle of your brain.
Oh, claircognizance. You mean claircognizance? Yes, claircognizance. That's just knowing without knowing why.
Claircognizance, just coming. It's like they communicate completely telepathically. So it's not, they were showing the visuals, but because I was listening for them to tell me stuff, I was getting absolutely nothing. So it comes through. When I first had them come through, now the Pleiadians I knew because I watched Braca Goldsmith on YouTube. She channels the Pleiadians, absolutely amazing. She's an astrologer, but a lot of my knowing, because it all comes from source, it also comes from my external reality. So I will have the coincidences or see something, and then the next week I have that ability, and I'm like, oh shit, that's shit. That's shit. That's that. So do you know what I mean? I instantly recognize it because spirit's already brought it into my reality. So when I first had the Pleiadians come through, which was the first time I had an ET kind of come through me, this is absolutely ridiculous. I was laying in bed meditating, and I don't know, some of you listening to this may be familiar with Braca. She's got a huge YouTube thing. Her face starts getting pulled around. So those of you can see me on the video, it's just ooh, around like this. But her jaw starts moving around, and it's the Pleiadians. I was laying in a meditation, and my jaw starts getting pulled around, and I'm like, what is this? And then I instantly knew it was the Pleiadians. Now they made me do this with my face. Those who are listening, I'm just pulling a really stupid face. They made me like this. They made me pull this face, and it was like I was stuck with it, and I could not stop laughing. So you will find that they will do a lot if they come through to you. They will find a way to make you laugh, whether it's showing you an image, making you make a funny face, or making you make a funny noise. They'll find a way to make you laugh, to elevate your vibration to match theirs, because they're so much
that makes sense.
higher up. Because they're so much higher up, vibrationally speaking, than us, you have to get right up there. And if you are not matching their frequency when they're contacting you, it's going to feel really weird. So for example, when I watched myself back when doing channeling, it's only been recently I've been able to watch it back without literally feeling terrified. I'm not going to lie, because when I'm watching it, I'm not in that high vibrational state. Okay. It hasn't integrated. So I'm like, oh, look at my eyes flickering. Oh God, I can tell it's something else talking through me. And honestly, like, it would scare the shit out of me. It's only been in the last couple of weeks since my massive breakdown that I had, and then all this stuff that's come through, that I can watch, and I'm like, I know them. Like,
isn't that funny
about it?
So I have a couple other questions, because I'm like, I love stuff like this.
I keep going off on such a tangent.
No, it's great. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the audience is gonna love this episode. Like, this is what they like. They like real shit, right? Yeah. Like, we're not all structured. Oh, you've had 1 minute to answer. Shut up. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like, shit, what was the question? Did I even answer it?
Yeah. Oh my God, so funny. Yeah. So what do you think all of these, entities, the ETs that are channeling through you, what do they want? What's their intention?
Their intention is to help the world with the global lightening. Okay, so the lightening, there's a video of this on my YouTube channel, is what the Arcturians called awakening. When I did my psychic development course, I sat down to create the first module, which is called Awakening. And my first bullet point, this is hilarious, was, why are we awakening? And I was like, I have no fucking clue. I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, I never thought to ask. Like, I honestly never, and I was like, okay,
why the fuck is this happening?
I did this was when I did my first direct channeling on TV, on YouTube,
wow.
which is on there. And it was the Arcturians, and they came through, and they said, basically, what is happening is they think it's hilarious. We call it the awakening, because they're like, your eyes are open, you're awake, guys. What are you on about? They call it the lightening, because we are lightening the planet. The planet's getting lighter. what they likened it to was, imagine if you have a plant growing and one of the leaves has like blight, it has like a fungal infection or something. If it doesn't get cured, it's going to spread to the rest of the plant. The rest of the plant will die. Earth has a big old fungal infection at the moment, humans, and other stuff, other entities, other badness going on. Now, we are part of the universe. If these other beings don't come and help us, that shit's going to spread. Like they want to come and help and heal our little leaf of a planet. And they also love us. They love studying us. We can experience so much more than them. They would love to be able to experience the sort of stuff that we do. So they are literally coming here to help us lighten the planet by switching on individual lights inside us. And then when we come into contact with someone else, it's like a little particle of light touches their energy and it sparks the light in them, and then it goes and it goes and it goes, and it's like a chain reaction. They were showing me this in this amazing image while I was pulling it through, and I was like, God damn, every time something comes through, I get all humbled and like, this is a bit above my pay grade, guys. I don't know if I can talk about this. Literally.
I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Wow. So I love that. And I mean, yeah, I love that. The lightening.
Yeah.
Right? So
global lightning.
I remember reading a long time ago, I think it was The Bringers of the Dawn. Maybe that wasn't it. That was a really good book. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, before we go further, what's the name of your YouTube channel?
More with Natty.
More with Natty. Okay. So you guys go run and go watch her channel and stuff.
There's a lot of channeling on the channel.
But one of the books I read about like the Palladians specifically, they were saying that, you know, there's no such thing as time or space, right? But somehow these Palladians were our future selves, and that they had come back to our point in time. They found a way to come back to our point in time to help us lighten or awaken, right? Yeah. So that to protect their future, like ourselves, like, so we're not kicking our own ass. You know what I mean? Like to for us insane. To help our future self.
Amazing. I'm like, that's insane and amazing. Yeah, I'm getting a yeah. I'm just asking them. Well, I'm like, I want to know what this is. Every time someone tells me something new, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a yes for all of that. Also, the Lemurians as well. It was when the Lemurians were coming through, it was almost like they were us of the past, and we're coming back to them. So I think it's pretty much all star races. We used to be them, we're turning back into them, you know. I mean, we're going to remain in our human bodies, but from what I understand, we can't even comprehend what is coming and how we're going to change. A channeling I watched the other day was talking about how some of us won't even need to eat food anymore, because all we're getting from food is frequencies, and that we will be able to live off other frequencies. Now, I love my fucking food, and that's not going anywhere. I don't care if I can live off frequencies. Right. I like chips.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it just, I think there's so much. There is so much. And you know, that's why. So we were talking earlier about, before we started recording, about the niche, right? This is why us crazy spiritual people, because right now I'm on this whole, and I was doing this back in 2012, but because my husband died, right? And because I got pissed off at the medical community, I started doing my own studies. And like, while I love chips and stuff too, and we all know fruits and vegetables are great for us, but I'm really studying exactly what each one does for you and how it processes through your body and what happens, you know what I mean? And then how it affects your brain and your gut is also with this manifestation. Oh my gosh. Right. So because you bridge the gap, this is one of my favorite things. Like for me, I love certain science and I love spirituality, and I feel like us in this time, we are bridging the fucking gap.
Fuck yeah, we are
finding a way. So for you, I mean, I would be really excited about you maybe like working with your guides and saying, okay, looking at the vibrations of foods and how you can change vibrations of foods, how you can remove all the energy that got put in them in transit, how you can remove the pain from killing that animal or the past karma, or do you know what I mean? All of this. Can you turn, say, like a burger and fries into something that's more healthy than a store-bought salad just by changing the vibration of the food?
You could. Well, I mean, because a long time ago, I like called on Abraham Hicks. I'm like, hey, you guys, you don't just have to be over there with Esther. Like, come on, you know, like, I was like, hey, I need something
I
special
love
to you guys,
that.
because my passion is bridging the gap from spirit to science. And
Yes.
it's all molecules. It's just energy. It's all energy. We are
Yeah.
we are 0.00001% physical, and the rest is energy. And
Wow.
it's so cool. It's so cool. So yes, you
It's
absolutely,
so
and Abraham
important.
Hicks would say, only if you believe you can. But if you believe you can, then absolutely you could. And I mean, it would be cool to do some of these studies, right? And having somebody, remember back in the day, they had that McDonald's show, like 30 days of eating McDonald's, or what was that? There
Oh
was a
yeah,
movie,
Supersize Me,
Super Size
I
Me.
think.
What if
Yeah.
we did a documentary for like a week
This
and
is
had
it.
somebody do a medical, like do Reiki and, you know,
Amazing.
energy.
I want to do scientific studies so much. Like I've sat and Googled so many times to look for scientific studies on psychics to volunteer my fucking self and be like, test me, like anything, please, let's go. Just because I'm so keen, like, for more people to listen and get it out there, and also stick a big middle finger up to all the scientific types that think this is all bollocks. I'm like, I'm sorry you haven't caught up yet, sweetheart, but this is what it is. This is science. Just because you haven't found to explain it in your little papers yet. Do you know what I
Yet,
mean?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're slowly, I mean, they're slowly catching up. Look at all the UFO stuff that's coming out at the moment. They're off base of about 50%, but you know, at least they're talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So when do you do sessions with people with the Arcturians then?
Yeah, so again, all my sessions that I do are channeled. So it's so hard. One of the hardest things for me is marketing myself, which is why I get people to put up reviews and everything, because I'm like, honestly, one session might be literally NLP to get over a fear, and another session might be helping you connect with ETs so that you can open your psychic channel. You know, it's like, and another one might be soul journeying to meet your inner shaman.
Yeah.
Or
So it's basically, it's like, it's coaching. And once you talk to them, you're able to assess
yeah,
what they need at that time. I like that.
Whatever it comes through. I've been moved around so much. Like, I was doing a lot of healing work. I was doing a lot of astral healing, so a lot of stuff with working with like dark entity removal and all of that. And I hadn't integrated enough, and I hit burnout so many times, and I was like, this is not for me. So I went more into like the business coaching side and helping people like kind of back to my roots, and helping people, oh, okay, let's do spiritual businesses and all of that. That's where spirit was leading me. And then I was like, okay, for sure, this is me. This, you know how we love to just try and cling on to that one thing. And then
Oh my
right
God.
when I was like, this is it, January, they bring through all this light code stuff. They're bringing through all these light codes, all this light language. And they said that I needed to do a 4-week support bubble. I thought this was going to be like a coaching and support bubble. And I was like, I'm channeling so much. This is going to be a straight up channeled, I ended up calling it the light code bubble. And it was literally just, I just let them take the wheel for each and every session. And we did everything from soul journeying to healing to, they were talking through me. The information that came through, I was like, I thought this was going to be some, like, I don't know, weekly counseling with a bit of Reiki or something. And I'm like, oh, right. So I'm not so much doing the business stuff now. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Again, asking. But yeah, I'm just surrendering and doing.
That's me right now. I'm like, what the
code.
fuck do you want me to do? Because I'm like, a lot of things like towards the end, before I took this break, right before before we went to the underworld, it's like my launches were failing. It was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm doing all the thing and nobody's signing up. Now I know why, because spirit was like, you're going to take a break. But
yeah. When did your husband pass again? It was
in September.
It was in September.
And
okay.
it took us about a month to like shut it down, because we were still in full business mode. You know what I mean? Yeah.
How did you feel? I'm interested in this because this is something that again, I've noticed with so many other psychics and healers. Around July, August last year, people started getting put on timeout in whatever way, disconnected, things failing, their posts aren't getting out there. So I had this experience for weeks, and I tapped in, and I say this with a pinch of salt, and it's done now, so it's fine. I don't want to scare anyone. But when I tapped in I think it was October, like, what the fuck is going on? my Arcturian guides wouldn't even come through to speak to me because they were fighting a war. They basically, there was like, the reason that we got closed off is to protect us so that we didn't attract dark entities with our light, because the planet got flooded for a bit. So they were keeping us safe by keeping us like to the earth, with the grounded, all of that. And they said, I think it was in October time around the eclipse, they said doing psychic work at the moment is like sticking your head in a box of bees. And I was like, and we're done.
Wasn't that interesting? Right. Yeah. Cause I haven't done, besides for myself, I haven't done psychic work really. You know what I mean? And it was, I was doing a full on launch in July for my mastermind, my 6-month mastermind. And it just wasn't go. And then that's when my husband really started, where it was like, fucking something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? So my attention was really on him too, because he went into the hospital in August, you know, and then he in and out, and then in and then out to come home to pass away. So it
the underworld, everyone in some different way. I have a friend who, again, who's a healer. She got concussion like at the end of July and took a whole month off in August. I saw someone else who they were just like, I'm just taking some time off and going on holiday. I was just like, everyone is in some way just being, I mean, I was cocooned. I could not do much. Every time I stood up, I knocked something over. I was so ungrounded. And when I tapped into my higher self, I basically didn't have my lower 3 chakras. Like they'd literally taken them to work on them. And they were like, I was like, what, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I'm like, what the fuck? It was literally from here up, that's all I had. And I stayed basically in blankets in a caravan for 5 weeks over the summer. I was perfectly happy. I knew I was safe. I knew I was loved. I was cocooned. No psychic work. Absolutely no even thinking about spiritual stuff. But yeah, that down period lasted for a good few months, and I know at least part of it.
So when was the last eclipse? Do you know? Like wasn't there just a lunar one?
The 4th of December.
Well, there you go.
I think that was the day before my birthday.
Because when I'm not too keen on astrology, right? But I am a little. And I think the lunar eclipse, wouldn't that be flipping your dreams?
Oh, I don't know enough about the answer to that question.
Because I know
I know it was the culmination.
Because I know an eclipse is completely stopping one thing and starting a new thing.
Huge changes.
And so to me, the moon is more about your your dreams, your inner desires.
So make sure I was balls deep in my breakdown. The in between the 2 eclipses from November 19th to December 4th, that's when all the bad stuff happened, and I tapped in and got this message that it's all out kind of spiritual war up there. There was a lot of beings that came down, a lot of light beings came down. But when you open up the portals, you open up the dimensions, you get piggybackers, you get stuff through that isn't like, do you know what I mean? It's all a balance. We all have light and dark. We need light and dark. We can't chase all the dark away. But for a little while there, and I don't know if anyone remembers back to that time, but everyone I spoke to, it was pure fucking chaos for the 2 weeks. It was just chaos energy.
And we're talking in 2021, right? Just because I know this podcast will be out for a long time.
2021. November, at the end of November 2021, that two-week period, I barely left my house. And like everyone I spoke to, they're like, even people who aren't in tune or spiritual or whatever, they're like, it's crazy out there. People are fighting in shops and arguing and car crashes and crazy. But all gone now. All good. Forward movement.
What do they say? I'm pretty sure we both know this already, but I want to know, what do they say about our current events? Or do they even give a crap? Are they just like, this is part of it?
I mean, do you want me to tap in and ask?
Sure.
Should we invite someone in?
Sure.
Okay, let me just see. Okay, let me just quickly calling an Archangel Michael, please protect me on all levels. Make sure that everything that happens within this transmission is for the highest good and divine harmony with the most benevolent outcome. Keep me completely protected from any psychic interference or any lower vibrational energy. Thank you. Okay, who is this coming through? Where are we going? Lemurians? Arcturians? Okay, Arcturians. They know I'm more comfortable. Lemurians is more, we can talk about this in a minute as well. Lemurians is more part trance channeling. Arcturians, it's like they say it to me and I say it out loud. So it's a lot easier. They just want to know what current events are you talking about? Are we going deep? Are we talking pandemic?
Yeah, like I guess the shift. So I wrote 2020 to 2022.
Okay.
The current events on like the planet Earth. I guess more I'm like the shift in leadership or the shift in leadership, I guess, is the question that's coming up for me.
Like the systems, kind of like the systems breaking down.
Yeah, like yeah.
Okay. We very much like all your questions. You're keeping Natalie's brain very, very, very busy. We don't have a chance to get a look in. Okay, so leadership on your Earth planet. We have lots and lots of shifts going on within leadership and within the structural roles, many that you can't even see yet. The reason for this is that the shifting sands of the Earth must be met by the shifting people. Can you please say that in better English? They're just showing me. So they show me images, which put me off a little bit. I can see the world, and I can literally see it's almost like a sandstorm going around it, like picking up pieces out of it and moving them around to other places. So can we please clarify on that? Okay, so they're showing me like chess now. They're showing me like moving chess pieces around. We're getting everything ready for you, dear ones. We are getting everything ready for this new age, for this new Earth. We are so excited for what is coming, but we can't tell you what is coming because it will blow your little tiny brains. Thanks. Oh, I'm sweating. Oh, a very, very, very important part of building something new is breaking down the old. Picture, if you will, a concrete pavement. Very, very ugly, very, very boring, very, very hard. If you fall on the concrete pavement, you're going to hurt your head. Now, what we want is to cover the pavement again in moss and flowers and plants. We can't do that without first cracking open the pavement and removing the chunks. If we crack open the pavement with a hammer, yes, it might hurt for a while. It might be confusing, and someone might say, what's happened to my pavement? What have you done to my path? But once the crack has cleared, you see a beautiful flower grow out from the middle, and then everyone forgets that you cracked the pavement in the first place, or that the pavement was even there, because what is in its place is these beautiful flowers, connecting you back with the earth, connecting you back with who you are supposed to be, dear ones.
Well, I loved that. I get the goosey bumps. I love how they're like, your little tiny brains. We can't tell you.
They bring through, so the Arcturians especially bring through, like, I mean, I didn't get most of that. I'll see it when I got the general thing. I can't listen at the same time as talk.
Right.
That was a battle when I first started channeling, because I want to hear what they're saying. But they come up with these amazing analogies. I've started doing like monthly energy updates on my Medium account, like typing them. And they came up with like us swimming through treacle in January, like you're stuck and you can't see. So treacle is like syrup, right?
Okay.
I don't you don't have treacle in America. I just
no. We're like
your face. So it's like swimming in syrup, and you can't see through syrup. And it was saying that some people can rise to the top and see where they're going, but others of you are too weighed down, so you're just stuck in the syrup. It was making me laugh when they were bringing it through.
I love that. They do that because what they're trying to say is so far beyond our comprehension that they have to. Well, I don't know if they have to, but maybe the different psychics do different things, but they do that like for me too. Yeah. They'll show me a cake, layers of a cake, and they'll show me the whole cake exists. Like when we're talking about dimensions, right?
Yeah.
It's all here. It's the whole cake is right there, but there's just different layers and which one you're on. You know what I mean? So it's like funny, but yeah, I want to give validation, not to the Arcturians, because they know what they know, but I want to share with the audience so that they could be like, holy shit, Natty was on point with that, because I was in Manifestation Babes group, right? On Facebook. If you guys aren't in there, it's pretty cool. But I saw a girl and she's like, I wrote a book, right? And the post caught me because she said her daughter died by drowning at 18 months in her pool. And it was so like, I was like, oh, my
that just
empathy,
hit
right?
me with emotion right there. Jesus.
That was me. So I'm like, I'm going to keep reading. And she said, the craziest thing came out of that is that she started being able to channel her daughter. So she would ask a question and she would start typing. And so this is what this book is. So it's like, oh my God, what a tragic, tragic, tragic loss. I mean, I have a granddaughter now. So like just hit you in the heart.
Yeah.
But she asked kind of that question, what's going on to her daughter, right? And the daughter came back like, oh, I get goosebumps because so Spirit's like, yes, yes,
my whole body is vibrating
Spirit's like,
right now.
yes, 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 saying things won't be completely changed until the plates shift. And so then the mom was like, oh my God, does that mean we're going to have massive earthquakes? And then the daughter was like, you're taking it literal, what I'm saying. Like things need to be moved. Some things will happen to Earth, she's saying, but I'm not talking about it crumbling. It's like plates, like what you were saying about the cement. Yeah, the plates need to move.
They need to move out the way to bring something new in. Yeah, for sure. Can I just say as well, you have the most fabulous little light on your head that keeps coming down. It's like keeps being dead on your third eye, like while you're talking.
And there's no coincidence. Like that's probably why we had the 30-minute delay, right? They're like, Brandoline, you need to heal. You need some healing.
Actually, I removed some not very nice things from my third eye earlier during the journey as well. I picked something up when I was working on a client the other week, and it just had these nasty things there. I removed it as well. I've been having headaches all day, so yeah, maybe we're both having some third eye stuff going on.
So funny, huh? So funny. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so what I was gonna say what I remembered before I channeled the Arcturians, what was it? I said, I'll talk about that afterwards. So the difference between direct channeling and trance channeling, because this is something. So I kept getting kind of the nudge. I kept getting trance channeling come into my awareness, and I was like, I know they're asking me to do that, and I'm not. I'm not having something take over my body. There's no fucking way. Like, you see horror films of possession and all of this stuff, and I was terrified to my very core, even though I know that every time an ability is opened up in the moment, it feels completely natural, completely normal. I was absolutely terrified, and even though I completely trusted all these beings, completely terrified. Now they found a way to bring it through to me by direct channeling, which basically it's like, again, the claircognance thing. Leave my channel open and I just say exactly what they're saying into my head, which is why you'll see in the early videos especially, they show me something, I get distracted, I stop talking, or I start giggling at what they've said, and I start talking, they start talking. But what happened a few weeks ago during the light code sessions, I went to a sort of direct channel and the Lemurians came through. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I felt like from kind of the top of my mouth, I'm explaining it as I'm showing you for those that are just listening, kind of this section in my chest, my throat, and the top of my mouth get taken over. It was like, it didn't feel scary in the moment, but I just felt something coming and I went, whoa, who is this? And I realized it was the Lemurians. And I let it through, and it was, my whole body heated up. I was so I was like sweaty, I was vibrating, and it's like they just went away and I start talking, the video's up, I start talking so fast, my voice goes really, really posh and up here, and I start kind of moving my face around, and it was absolutely insane. But it's like, because again, I was so scared of them completely taking over, they found a way to trance channel through me. And the reason that I want to say that is that any of you listening that are scared of channeling, that like maybe getting the nudge or whatever, remember that you are always in control, and you do not have to experience things how they come through. First of all, like, you just don't. If you're having something come through, I know a lot of people get this almost spiritual guilt that they're not doing something Spirit's asking them, or that something's coming through and they're not using it because it's a gift and I have to use it, and they're getting burnouts, they're uncomfortable, do you know what I mean? They have things happening to them that aren't fun, but they're like, but I'm a channel, I have to do this. Absolute fucking bollocks. I'm sorry, but you choose absolutely everything. They will find a way to bring through your gifts in a way that you choose. And if you're not ready for them, or if you want to choose a different way, you are not offending them at all. Like, it's your life. Spirit doesn't get offended. Like, these light beings, I mean, you should smile, like, don't not smile at them. But they're not going to get offended, and if you're not ready, you're not ready. But please just don't put it off completely, or don't close yourself off completely because you think that it only comes through the way it does in the movies, because you can choose absolutely everything, and you can choose your own time frame as well.
That's what I love that, because in the beginning I was scared shitless to hear the spirit talk. And I was like, don't you ever fucking call my name. I will shit my bed. They're still not allowed to call my name. Like, but so then my hearing was the very last to come, because I was like, oh, hell no. Because they were like, well, we don't want to scare you. If you're uncomfortable, we're not going to do that. You know? So it's really clairsentience for my, gut feeling. And then my clairvoyance, they work hand in hand. And I also think my clairvoyance, the hearing, really comes through as, it's not claircognizance like a knowing, because the knowing comes in as just chunk. It's just there, right? It's more of a streamed in knowing, like where I think the thoughts, but they're not mine. They're coming in.
Do you get it behind your right ear?
No, it's I think because my body language
is
coming this way.
No, I was just saying, because literally on my psychic development course, one of the things I said, how you know that it's a spirit guide and not you, is it comes in behind the right ear. There's a reason you're doing it on that side.
A lot of people, I think, their right is their main spirit guide, right? At least that's what I've heard, what I teach, but sometimes it's on the left. But for me, it's funny because I point up all the time. So it just, I think it comes down to, so like when I do my body language, when I'm talking like on my live videos, I'll be like that. So I guess my channeling is not, they don't take over, right? I know that can happen though, because twice something's gotten in me. Once it was somebody's grandma in a reading, in a mediumship reading. And I was like, I was like, whoa. And my voice changed and everything, Rah, rah, rah.
Oh, isn't it so weird? I'm like, mate, Barry White just entered the building. I do it. Sometimes I'm healing someone and I'm like, and I'm like, I'm like, Barry White, how's it going? It's so funny. Just a disclaimer, I don't channel Barry White.
It's so funny because, in hindsight, and this is in my book too, right? It's so funny because in hindsight, I was like, I sounded like Marge Simpson or something. And the lady's name that got in me, her name was Marge.
That's hilarious.
Shitty. And then there was another time in the very beginning when something dark jumped in me. Not to be scared, people. Oh, well, don't be scared. But I could feel it, and I felt really heavy. And it came in from behind, and I ran to the bathroom because I was hugging my husband, and that's when it happened. It was weird. And I ran to the bathroom because I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, get out. And I'm like, Archangel Michael. He
gets called on so much.
I felt it get, out. And then my husband was like, what did you say? And I'm like, oh, nothing. Because that was before he was really accepting. Because if he knew that what words were coming out of my mouth that weren't mine, he would have been like, that's it. No, I'm checking you in.
Yeah, man. It's so difficult navigating. And it's also difficult as well navigating, I'm sure you've had this in your business, navigating clients who, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people take it to the crazy place. Like some people have stuff open up and they don't have a lot of guidance or whatever, and they know it to be true. So, and it all comes at once. So all they want to do is tell everyone everywhere about it, and they get that crazy look in their eye, and they might have got taken over a bit. Do you know what I mean? But it's really difficult to, for me anyway, to navigate when I know someone has actual mental health problems going on as well around it, and they have a lot of trauma, maybe they have a lot of attachments that is making things come through in a bad way, trying to guide them through to the good stuff and letting them know that it is real, but perhaps let's go over this way and talk to your higher self, rather than letting these things tell you some nasty shit. Like I've had clients that have come and said, I got this message and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did you ask who it was from? Because they're fucking with you. Like, do you know what I mean? Where's your boundaries? Where's your protection? Is it approved by your higher self? Did you put a violet light on it? Like all these ways of qualifying.
Right. Well, and like what you were saying is once you connect and and you're so validated that you're like, there's no way that I'm making this up in my head. You just know it's spirit. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, then their language and how they talk. So I've had some clients come to me and say, Archangel Michael came to me and said this. And I was like, that wasn't him. You're not talking to no angel. That wasn't him.
Yep.
So we need to like address that.
See who it was. Maybe it's so important though. I think also like people who I think they're so important again. Why like people like me and you who are just normal people are out there, because there's a lot of people popping their third eyes open and popping their crown chakra open that are not in the spiritual industry, that aren't interested, that have no clue about this stuff. And if they go online and look for answers and all they're finding is Sarah, the goddess priestess Moonface, who's wafting her feathers around, they're gonna go, mate, I'm not listening to you. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna go, she has nothing to tell me. So they're going to try and go it alone. And then these are the people that are going to, again, not to scare anyone, but they're the people that are going to be perhaps talking to things that don't have their best interest in heart, perhaps getting information come through. There's, well, they ain't never going to tell you when you're going to die. If you're going to die next week, your spirit guides are not going to tell you. 100%.
Right.
Like it is not in your highest good. So if you get a message come through that, oh, your son's going to have, do you know what I mean? Something's going to die tomorrow or this or whatever. You need to check in. You need to clear that shit. You need to connect, protect, all of that. But I think that's why we're doing this work, and that's why also I want to encourage more and more people to step up and start being brave enough to talk about this stuff, especially if you don't resonate with the spiritual community. I think people like me felt like, oh, I don't want to talk about that because I'm not one of them, so I'm just going to stay over here.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. Yeah.
Spiritual imposter syndrome.
Spiritual imposter syndrome, but also it's almost, feel like it's important for us to say, we're just like you guys, right? Like we're just like, don't put us on a pedestal.
Nope.
Like that would be like your math teacher, right? Like somebody's just doing addition and somebody's learning algebra. They're still the same people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's all a collective. I literally had, so one of the big channelings I did recently, which was the 7 types of light code, massively recommend going to listen to that. It was information that came through to me that has pretty much never come through anywhere else. The Lemurians packaged it for me to bring to the world. And they said within this, one of the type of light codes was collective light codes. So light codes is basically just a type of energy transference. And they said to me, I was having a session, I had like 6 people on this 4-week light code bubble. And they said that even the reason that I'm able to channel for the full hour within that is because we've connected all our energy. So I start by connecting our energy, cleansing our energy, all that. And it's the combined energy, it's the collective energy. And they said, even though I'm the instrument, that they all everyone is sharing equal parts. So even though I'm in the inverted commas teacher or coach or whatever, we are literally co-creating. Everyone has an equal part in bringing that energy through so that the information can be birthed within this 3D reality. And I was like, oh, it made me so emotional.
I love that you said that, because the last, I want to say 2 classes that I taught, I did one in Traverse City, a local one, and it was on making a quantum shift, right? And then even this Manifest Your Lover one I just did.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, because the people that came created the dynamic of that class, and the people that participated, and then one person would say something which would help change the perspective of some of the others so that they could understand the content, right? Because you're only going to pick up what resonates with you, like you were saying, integrating like what you've already integrated. And so some of the people are like, what the fuck is Brandoline saying? And another person will be like, it's like this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah.
And bring it in. Yeah, man, it's so important. Like all we really do as like, and again, I think this is another thing that is changing the whole guru bollocks thing, and people putting psychics in this pedestal. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, we worked really hard to open up our abilities, and we went through a fuckload of trauma to get here and integrated that shit, right? Through many incarnations, raped and murdered and tortured for that shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we are literally just holding space. We're facilitating, we're helping you bring the shit out of you that you need. And that's what we are. We're space holders. We're sitting there with a big fat fucking safe hug so that you can open up as much as you need to. And we're learning just as much. Again, I'm talking for myself, but I learn just as much from doing a session with my client as they are learning off me. Just by that interaction, just by working through whatever it is we're working through.
Yeah. And my journey was, developing the abilities and doing massive readings, but that was like my school. right? Like doing all those readings was like my class, like my college, or maybe it was my master's degree. I don't know. Like, because every single client had a different thing that they came to me for. And I was able to like see that that's where they come. That's where they come. I was able to bring it through. You know what I mean? But it integrated in me. So every client makes, like, not that you're not whole, but
it's like puzzle pieces, right?
Puts a little pieces.
Adding pieces to the puzzle so that you're able, exactly the same thing with my healing, my different healing things that I did. I remember, as an example, the first time, so I'd been doing Spirit Ascension for a while, but someone came through and they had this knocking around their house, like proper full-on haunting stuff, knocking. They were scared for their little girl, they were scared for them, and this felt, I didn't know that this was going to come up. And once you're in a session, I'm not going to say, I'm sorry, this is out of my realm. I'm like, okay, guys, we got this, let's go. What turned out is that she had a spirit attachment within her that was trapped, that was the mum. The son was floating around trying and angry, like wanting to harm her. And the mum was knocking from the inside to alert her to the fact that her son, like, let me the fuck out so that my son doesn't hurt you. I was like, honestly, I was like, oh, my stomach. I instantly asked if it was a poltergeist. And bearing in mind, I don't know what a poltergeist is. I just asked. I got a no, thank fuck. And I said, is it a bad spirit? And I got a yes. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, right. I sat there and I sat and I channeled through, and we healed them, put them in the healing Arcturian Ascension chamber. Like, I cleared it all, and it was all completely channeled in the moment. But now I know exactly what to do when that situation comes up, and I know how to teach it to someone else. But it would never have happened if I didn't have this woman in front of me with this problem that I needed to heal. So I probably learned more from that session than she did, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like this is so important for all y'all out there that are readers, right? That are like, well, I'm not going to do a reading until I've mastered me, or I've gotten this, or I'm not going to do healing sessions until I
jump in,
blah, blah, blah. Spirit wants you to start where you are freaking at. Because if I didn't start doing like $5 readings, or I used to do like a free 15-minute reading once a week just to keep it going, also part of my marketing, right? But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Because spirituality, there is no, I mean, there's people like us, right, that help educate you, take you to this next level, but it's not until you're in it, till you're experiencing it, you're doing it.
You gotta be in it to win it.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta be in it to win it.
And another note on that, just for anyone who's listening and they're like, what the fuck? She had this like bad spirit come through and blah, blah. Spirit will never send you something you're not ready for. Okay. So I had already been doing lots of similar sessions. Every time I've got attachment or an entity or something that may have scared the shit out of me for a little moment until I tapped in and understand how to get rid of it. Everything within your highest good and nothing that you're not ready for. If anything, in air quotes, negative happens, as in you get an entity attachment or whatever through your protection, it's because you had to feel the energetic signature of that. You had to know how to get rid of that because it was part of your path to know how to deal with it in the future and to deal with it in other clients. So Spirit's going to ease you in. I mean, some people get fast tracked through this shit. All my shit opened up pretty quick, but I handled it. Like, I remembered past life stuff. Do you know what I mean? You did this shit for thousands of years. Everyone listening who's a psychic or healer, you did this stuff hundreds of years, thousands of years. And you know, you may not know, but your soul knows exactly what to do. And you just have to remember. It's just a case of remembering.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
How cool. What a great conversation we've had, huh?
Right. Yes.
Like, I keep talking to you forever. Love to have you on again sometime. Oh, you said energetic signature, I think is the word you used a minute ago, or the term you used. So, I mean, I get so nerdy about that. Because there's a lot of people listening going, what the fuck does that mean? Right. But when you are a psychic, right, especially if you're clairsentient,
energetic,
it's always
energetic blueprint as well. So what my particular past life healing I do is called time bending. I got from the Anunnaki in ancient Egypt. All of that came out on my first session with Wolfgang. I was like, what the fuck? And it was literally changing. It was almost like going back into a video clip of a past life, rewinding it, playing it forward again. And when you come back in, it changes the blueprint, just like the blueprint of a building, so that that injury on your arm doesn't exist anymore. I was like, holy shit, what is this? What is actually going on? But once you get your head around it, it's like, oh, it kind of makes sense in an
It does.
insane
Well, and
way.
for me too, like for the clairsentience, like when we're tapping into do a reading, you're getting inside of their energetic footprint or whatever blueprint.
Yeah.
You're sitting in it and you're feeling what it feels like, and then more information comes. So
Yep.
I get super nerdy about it because everything's energy. So I mean, you could tap into the freaking energy of this pin, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the energetic blueprint. So you're an energetic being and you're able to meld inside, like even with like your Arcturians and stuff, how you said you had to integrate their energy. You had to allow their energetic blueprint to come to be with yours so that it's almost like the phone ringing, right?
They show it like a lock and key type thing with when the Lemurians were channeling and saying about soul codes and different souls fitting each other and stuff. They were showing the energies literally almost like codes that fit and slot in top of each other. So it feels like they're like, yep, this is exactly the same. So when you are trying to resonate yourself with a being so that they can come through clearer, it is literally like that. You're getting your soul signature to fit with their soul signature. So it's going to take some moving around, which is why you get all sorts of physical ascension symptoms that are shit.
Yay.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, talking about physical ascension symptoms, or even like the channeling, right? This has been happening to me like crazy. Who knows? Maybe they want to come. I don't. It's driving me freaking nuts. Where it's like,
and I just got a big fat flashing yes.
They're like, it's like one of my friends, she kept having a problem with her throat. And then one day she was like, oh, and all of a sudden she started channeling and talking. And they were like, we were trying to get your attention, but also clear all this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or
do you have you started having like light language come through yet?
I don't think so. I will. Like, what do you mean?
So light language is a type of light code. The light codes of the self. There's many different ones, but it is the most easily accessible way for people to channel and send energy. So people who don't have psychic abilities yet will find it easier to tap into light codes and light language as a way of activating their channel. But I feel like that you will have light language come through as a way to open your channel to be also channeling these
cool
beings.
I know that I do weird shit with my hands, right? So I was like on the couch one night and just totally chilling, like I smoked some weed, right? I'm sitting there.
I love how you whisper that, like not everyone's gonna hear it on the podcast.
So I sit in there, and the next thing I know, I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm like moving the energy in this. I'm moving something. I'm doing something. So, and I used to do this even as a kid. I would imagine blowing things away. And so it's like so funny. And then you come to hindsight and you're like, I was moving energy a long time ago.
Yeah, it came through my hands first. Like just moving hands around. It's a lot of my clients, it's come through their hands before it's come through anywhere else. It's my throat's going funny now. But I reckon I'm like, I can't wait to hear your light language. I bet it's so bubbly.
I know, right? So tell us, okay, what is light language? It's just
So it's very difficult to explain. There's a whole interview on Tools for Ascension channel on YouTube that we just did, a complete channeled interview for an hour and a half, because I was like, how the fuck do I explain this? And I only watched it once the other day. It is basically light codes are you have all these different light codes that are coming to Earth at the moment, and they are a way of transferring energy. Light language is a way of channeling that energy. So channeling it through you, you know, like how you channel
okay.
It channels through you, and it also channels to other people, and you can use it. I mean, humans and me and everyone else has only just scratched the surface of the possibilities with this, but the light language that comes through, for example, could physically heal someone, or it could help someone connect with their soul, or it could release a spirit. I had that with a client, completely unbeknown to me. She was just channeling light language. I had a spirit hit me in the face. because it was from her from a past life, just came out, and I was like, whoa, this is what prompted the channeled interview, because I was like, I feel like there's all these people channeling light language online, and if I'm honest, I don't think half of them have a fucking clue what it's doing. Like it's all good and it's amazing, but there is a lot of different ones coming through. I think we need to start asking, okay, who is this coming from? What is this through? Because they might just be sitting there releasing a load of spirits from their soul. Yeah, literally, it's amazing. But it's definitely, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of it, especially within people who are finding out about it, who want to open their psychic channel more and can't yet. What they told me is that people who can't yet access the more traditional psychic methods, which for a lot of people can take years to kind of open up, this is like a more accessible entry point that people can start channeling this with movement.
Oh yeah. Like that makes sense to me. Like they show me bicycles with spokes going to the wheel. They're going to find a way to get to you. Yes. whichever way they need to.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was like they're bringing it. It's basically the oldest language. Like light language is like the oldest language. They're helping us to remember it as, again, part of this lightening process, because a lot of us aren't. It's like that we're not catching up fast enough. Like, come on, you guys, like the world is lightening without you. You ain't catching on fast enough. Like, we're just going to keep sending you more and more tools. And I don't think, I mean, again, tip of the iceberg, I think light codes and light language and stuff, they're going to be sending us more. If you can't do light language, they'll find something else.
Now that you like got my brain ticking around this, because I saw somebody on Instagram and she does art with light language, like their designs and stuff.
Yes. But, I bet it's the person I share a lot. Maybe Sarah. She's amazing.
It just like I'm thinking, is the designs. Okay, yes, they're like smack, Brandoline. Right now, I have a crystal grid over here. It's got crystals on it, so I can't really show you. Oh wait, maybe I can. See the grid?
Oh yeah. I was like, I could just see a tree.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they're almost saying like that's blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'm trying to channel or something. I think
you're both trying to talk at the same time. They're like, just let me take the wheel, man. Move out the way. That's what they did with me at first.
That would be freaky, right? Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe when I start losing my words, they're like, shut up.
Yeah, you're not bringing it, you're not understanding it, interpreting it quick enough. So they're like, let me come in.
That's how that dead lady got inside me. I wasn't talking fast enough and she got angry. Well, she wasn't angry. She was just like, get out the way.
Pushy.
She's like, I'll just say the words. But so yeah, I mean, wow, that's cool. I love like learning on the podcast too, right? But this design is like they're saying designs, colors, a blend of colors. It unlocks things inside of you. And so light language, we've probably been looking at it all along.
Light language and art, yeah, it's all just different types, different ways of receiving these light codes. And you know what I said about the particles of light, so that it switches on the particles of light. Again, it's like that isn't fucking happening fast enough. So we're going to find all these different ways to bring you particles of light to make your light bigger and therefore lighten the planet.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, like we could keep talking forever. That's what I was going to say too, is why people reach out to us, like, especially if you have your YouTube channel, right? Or you're doing Facebook Lives, like they're seeing you, they are integrating your energy. And that's why they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so it's so important, I think, for anybody listening, like you are creating change just even by standing next to somebody in the grocery store or creating a video. If you're an entrepreneur, you're healing somebody when they're like, so people that are watching this right now, look how much healing just happened. We don't even know. It's going to go ripple, ripple. But simply like our faces, our voices.
Just being, I say this all the time, like just being, like people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm a light worker, or what do I have to do to become a light worker? I'm like, dude, you're doing it just by existing. That person you smiled at in the street is now not going to go home and shout at their child. Their child is now going to go to school happier and help some other kid off the playground and all this. And each one is another particle of light being sent out into the world. Like, I love it. It makes me so excited.
Well, and like what you were saying that the Arcturians said, we're making it so difficult, right? That's the thing. It's like, just be, right?
Yeah.
Just be.
Overcomplicating. So the Lemurians passed me through, so they know that we like to overcomplicate things, but they also understand that we need things in certain ways to be able to understand them, which is why they sent me through the 7 different types of light codes. They literally said, we created this container for you. There's an infinite amount of different types of light codes, by the way, but these are specifically 7 types of Lemurian light codes that are really important. And they're like, we created this container for you because we know how much you like lists and orders. And even when they were channeling, they started to talk about like number 7 before number 6, and they literally said, but we'll talk about that in a minute because Natalie likes to move an order because she likes her lists. So I was cracking up. I was like, thanks guys.
I know our spirit guides are like, all right, I guess, you know.
Yeah, but they have to bring it through in a way that works with you, right?
Yeah, it does.
And everyone listening, they don't want to equally bring stuff through you that's going to, again, overwhelm and alienate half the population. We need to find a way, in the nicest way possible, to dumb this shit down, because it is really, a lot of it is really fucking out there. It's insane. Like, I channel aliens, for fuck's sake. If someone came up to me and said that 2 years ago, I mean, I used to, if someone started talking about spirit guides, anything, I'd be like, I'm getting a beer. like honestly, that I was like, it's all bollocks, isn't it? And now I'm like, the last thing that came through into my awareness that I didn't know what it was apparently Yetis are real, because I channeled one in the last interview. I channeled light language from a Yeti. I'm like, seriously, there comes a point though, you just kind of give in. You're like, okay, it's all real, like whatever, you just start accepting it of because I mean, I've been sort of being dragged through this process of being skeptical to the end, and still something comes through, and unless I experience it for myself, I'm like, yeah, they say that, but I'm like, might be a load of bollocks.
You're so funny. They say some shit to me sometimes, and I'm like, wow, I don't even have words to describe what I just saw or felt or learned or whatever, what just came into me. And you're just like, and then to me, then I like have to like just let it sit in there for a while, because I'm like, how could we get from here to what they just said? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm like, okay, but it exists and it's in me. So then I guess it just, like you said, it integrates inside of you, and then you're able to come out,
bring it in your own words. Again, that's why I liked doing the direct channeling first, because I could feel that what they were doing, it was so much bigger than me. Even though it's coming through in their words, I can almost edit it as it comes. So if it comes out like I did at the beginning when I was like, whoa guys, English, when they what did they even say? Something about moving around sand so they could move around people. I was like, no, that didn't make sense. I was like, you need to bring that through in a better way. But I wouldn't be able to do that. I feel if I was as trance channeling beings that are advanced and uncontained, as like the Arcturians and Lemurians, that if there wasn't a certain amount of bringing it through my English language, that a lot of it we wouldn't even understand. It would come through as light language, which you don't understand. It's not, it's sounds, it's not words.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's very, very true. It has to flow through our perception. So that's why they're always like, they'll tell you stuff, but then you have to integrate it into where you're like, now, okay, I get it. Like,
why it's so important to speak your truth, guys. Anyone listening to this that's scared of coming out of the spiritual closet or talking about this shit, there's a reason it's coming through to you. You're supposed to be bringing it to the world. And I did used to get really annoyed with people saying this to me, because I'd be like, I'm not ready. It's fine if you're not ready, but I'm just saying it to you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Bring it to the world. Thank you.
yes, thank you. And God bless them, right? And I know a lot of people get scared to lose people. And I think at this time, like with the throat thing, a few podcasts ago, I had somebody and he was like, something's wrong with your throat chakra, probably the channeling thing. So he did this healing thing, and he came around. He's like, you're not really sharing what you really want to share, are you? And I was like, fuck, because at the time I was like, fuck, I already have some clients that would probably not be going down with what I want to say. He's like, you're not being true. So, and maybe that's why a lot of stuff fell away too for me. Because they're like,
find a way to
fucking say what you want to fucking say, and stop being worried about losing friends, family, seeming like a nut job.
Mine wasn't even so much losing things. It was scaring people, because I know how I felt before I understood about any of this stuff. if someone I cared about would start talking about things like this, I would actually like go to other friends and be like I'm really worried about, like, I'm really worried they're going to get sectioned, like this is not okay. Like, do you know what I mean? And I would genuinely be scared about it. I think because I had that experience also with a family member. And I actually thought, I was worried they were going to get sectioned. Now I understand. I was like, oh my God, everything they were saying was true. That I had that fear in me. But there comes a time when you're just going to have to trust that you're well protected, your friends are well protected, and maybe something that you say needs to be in their awareness. And coming from anyone else, they wouldn't believe it, they wouldn't integrate it, they wouldn't understand it, because they trust and love you. And like I said, all of the light beings, they're trying to, oh hello my crystal, they're trying to fast forward us. So it's even more important that you specifically listen to this, talk about these things, so that even the most stubborn of your friends and family, even the most scared, can hear it coming from someone that they love and trust, and see that you are okay, that you're living a normal life, that you're still you haven't changed, but maybe you just have a few extra friends hanging around.
The invisible folks, right? I love it.
Yeah.
You're invisible. You're the invisible peeps. I love it. So tell us again your YouTube channel, and I want to know the name of your book.
So my book currently is called Panic to Purpose. It is for spiritual entrepreneurs, light workers, and change makers, to help them shift their mindset from this linear way of being. Like, everyone is working in this 3D model of business when we're fucking multi-dimensional spiritual beings, and everyone, like, they may be able to have this multi-dimensionality within their own spiritual practice, but when it comes to business, they're trying to follow all these shitty little coaches that are trying to put them into boxes and with funnels, and you have to have a funnel, and you have to do this, and you have to do that to do this. And it's like, do you know what? You need to find your own way, you need to expand. So that's one section of it. The other section of it is helping people as a priority keep their own light bright whilst they help lighten the world. So basically loads of little self-care tips, along with loads of little analogies and stories of my own life when I didn't follow these and got myself into, I mean, an example which is just Faustum, and I'm just going to go with it. I didn't listen to my gut for like 2 years. I started shitting blood in America and nearly died. And literally there was nothing wrong with me, the doctors couldn't find it. It's because I was not listening to my gut. And I got a whole load more of those stories. But I'm figuring out, like, my 12 years as an entrepreneur, all of what I thought were failings and everything, I'm like, holy shit, this was all really important learning that I can then relate to. This is why you shouldn't do this. Do you know what I mean? That goes
so linked to spirituality. So yeah,
yes,
I love that.
It's all coming together. I wrote like 70 pages in over the space of like 4 days after my breakdown. I sat and typed for 7 hours. The day after my breakdown, eating mints. I was just sitting eating mints, eating mints. Didn't even drink any water. I don't even sure I went to the toilet. The whole thing just came out, and now there's going to be a lot of heavy editing. But yeah, so that's going to be more on the, like, I guess, spiritual business side. But as I said, I've been moved more into the channeling at the moment, so God knows when that's going to be out or finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then I have, so my YouTube channel is more with Natty. Mostly a lot of channeling videos on there. I have actually, if any of you are interested in connecting with ETs, I had a soul journey that I was selling for quite a long time, and I actually just put that free on my YouTube channel. It helps you connect with your starseed ancestors. Ooh. So if you want to astral travel without the use of psychedelics in a very safe container, go and check that shit out, because it will blow your socks off.
Ooh, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, and there'll be more coming. And then I also am doing blogs on medium.com, just under Natty Beatts, same as Natty Beatts on Instagram. So I've pretty much come out of my 2 years of insane awakening and just hanging on for dear life. And I'm like, do you know what? I got all this fucking content, I got all this knowledge, and finally it's channeling through me, and I'm brave enough to share it, which has been the main thing, honestly. It's been being brave enough to put it out there without putting something out there and being like, oh my God, I want to delete it. Or often I did delete things. I'm like, no, I can't put that. I'm not ready yet. So yeah, there's some good things going out, and all of my channeled stuff, just by watching it or reading it, you are literally receiving light codes from me. So it'll help activate your own channel. It'll help you integrate the energies of the Lemurians, of the Arcturians, and your own star beings as well. So pretty fucking cool.
It is really fucking cool. I'm so excited and happy that you came on the podcast. Boy, they're just gonna love this episode.
It's so lovely chatting with you as well. We bounce off each other well. I think I knew when I saw you, I was like, that when I first went through my awakening and I was looking for, I can't remember when I found your group, probably not that far in, and I watched some of your things and I was like, here's a normal one. She's normal. She's not waving her feathers around in a caftan telling me to ignite my blooming whatever. She doesn't refer to herself as a priestess or a whatever. And again, no disrespect for people who do that. It's absolutely fine, and everyone who's spreading light and love is doing an amazing job, but that's just not for me. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that it's just not for them, and we need more of us, please. So for listening,
Yes, just be real.
Keeping it real. And you're like us too, please come join.
Yes, please.
Step up, man. The world needs you.
Yeah, it does. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you for having me on here.